Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about 5 key signs you may be living in survival mode. So I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. I know I've struggled with this at different points in my life, and I feel like it's something that's not really talked about enough. And I think some of the circumstances that have taken place over the past couple of years have probably only made this a more pervasive theme in a lot of people's lives. And survival mode sort of comes about when for fairly long periods of time, we're either living in the hamster wheel where we're just going, busy, overloaded, so much to get done, so many things going on, or if we're in a position where we're just in sympathetic nervous system mode for a long time. And that can be somewhat because of sort of historic childhood conditioned patterns and the way you learn to interact and the neurochemical sort of cocktail that your patterns of thinking and unmet needs or met needs elicited for long periods of time that then becomes your subconscious comfort zone. So I want to go through 5 key signs here for how to identify whether you're in survival mode or not. And if you want to do a deep dive on getting out of this mode and actually being able to properly regulate, we have an amazing course that just came out, and it's all about somatic processing and nervous system regulation. And it's basically retraining your subconscious mind and body and your relationship to your emotions to learn to properly downregulate so you can feel a sense of peace of mind, control over your life again, and not feel like you're constantly in this sort of state of being overstimulated, overworked, under rested, and so on. So the first key sign, and by the way, you can check that course out for free for 7 days by clicking the link in the description box below. I don't know if I said that part yet, but it's there. And when you enter into the school, you can type up Somatic, and you'll see the Somatic course come up out of all the 45 courses you'll get access to. And you'll also see all sorts of webinars from the past that you have access to, the workbooks of all the courses you have access to, and you can check out the different social events and study groups we have as well. So very first sign is you are having a hard time relaxing and winding down. And it's hard to just sit still without some form of stimulation. This is a really common space that people get into when they're always in this survival mode, where it's they can't properly wind down and just be. And they always are I see people always escaping into things. It's the phone escaping into, the television has to be on, and often trying to multitask at once, or not being able to just sit for a moment and be with your emotions and be with your thoughts and be with your body and just be with yourself. So this is a really clear sign that we're more overstimulated and usually just have a subconscious comfort zone around being in sympathetic nervous system mode more often. And keep in mind too, sympathetic nervous system mode is we are in fight or flight mode, sometimes freeze or fawn mode. And we are not there's massive impacts on our immune system, on our ability to be in rest and digest mode, properly repair at our body at the cellular level. There are tremendous implications to being stuck in sympathetic nervous system mode for too long, not just mentally, emotionally, but also physically. The second major sign that you're living in survival mode is you find yourself overly reactive to small things. Usually we become overly reactive to small things because there's big things in the background that we're not properly addressing. And so this could be that we have hugely unmet needs. It could be that, we are feeling triggered on a regular basis. We're feeling overwhelmed in our life. We're teetering on the brink of burnout all the time. And so, the moment something comes into our lives, it may seem small from an objective point of view, but from the internal point of view, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. And, it feels like the world's crashing down because, there's so much going on for that person on throughout their daily life, essentially. Number 3, this is a really interesting one. It feels like this isn't coming up very well. Everything feels like you're rushing. It feels like literally everything is just hurry, 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 go, go, go. And that could be because you are overly rushing, which is still you living in survival mode, but it can also be because when we are in fight or flight mode, everything feels like it's sped up a little bit. When we're in rest and digest mode, it feels like we have more space. It feels like we have more time. When we're in parasympathetic nervous system mode, it feels like everything isn't stress and rush and intense. And so, really interesting to keep that in mind as well. And obviously, if you are overly rushing to everything, then it's also good to have better boundaries to deal with that problem at the root level as well. Technically, I think your nervous system and getting out of fight or flight mode and reprogramming that as your set point would be the root level, but boundaries could be another, contributing root cause. Number 4 is if you feel so exhausted at the end of the day that you just crash, like there's no in between. It's like you're really on or you're like really off. And usually that's because you're not actually spending like conscious waking time in parasympathetic nervous system mode. You're like sympathetic nervous system mode and then crash. And it's this like huge sort of like all or nothing type of way of living. And usually that crash isn't like in a lot of your waking time or in a lot of your interactions. You're not bringing like your regulated self into your interactions, into your life. It's like you're bringing your slightly dysregulated self when you're overstimulated into your daily life. And then finally dropping into that parasympathetic nervous system mode out of pure exhaustion. And again, that's not going to create a sense of well-being and fulfillment. Usually our access to well-being and fulfillment comes from being more attached to and more integrated in parasympathetic nervous system mode. So there's a lot more to say about that, but you can check out the course if you'd like to for that. And number 5 is you push people away without thinking because you know you don't have time for them. And this can be something like, of course, for periods of time. If you're starting a business, if you just had, a newborn, if you are in the process of planning a wedding, of course, there's going to be times where like you have to set boundaries with people differently, or you started a new job or whatever it might be. But if this is an active habit that seems to be a pervasive theme throughout the course of life, then there may be sort of something to look into there in terms of, are you dysregulated? Are you not, showing up in the relationship to yourself? How are you feeling on a daily basis? And do you have room for things in each of the 7 areas? Do you have some balance across the 7 areas of life between career and finances and mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and relationship health and well-being? So hopefully this all makes sense. A lot of this really requires you to reflect and actually work on changing your habits in order to create a different output and different results. But hopefully this all makes a whole lot of sense. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to see more about this topic, or if you have questions about this topic, please let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.